Thank you for waiting. Sorry, I am late. I did this again where I didn't realize what time it was, and I'd already switched my into airplane mode. So the people that are goodly enough to send me text messages to remind me when I don't start at 11 or on time, they they couldn't help me on that one. So, you got to be available for people's assistance, which is the lesson there, I guess. So thank you for your patience. I really appreciate that. Who am I? The appropriate Buddhist answer is I don't know. And then that, cue laughter. That's the most Bodhidharma answer, but no. But I am Andrew. I'm a unified mindfulness meditation coach. I should point out after my Buddhist joke that unified mindfulness is a secular mindfulness system. And I'm certified at level 2 of that system, which makes me, I guess, kind of a mid-range coach for them. They're in the middle of having folks go through a level 3. And if all that stuff sounds interesting, then you can find out more about UM at unifiedmindfulness.com. And then I am many things, but I am not a licensed mental health professional, and I'm not a therapist. I'm not a authorized Zen teacher, although that would be really, really cool, but I haven't put in the time and energy for that. So rightfully, I do not carry such authority. But I'm a standard, regular guy, person of no rank, who's been doing meditation for a while. And when I started out, it was really confusing. And then it was less confusing. And now I try to share the less confusing version with people. So what we normally do here is this notion of productive idling, or the Dutch term for this is niksen, which is Niksen, or to deliciously do nothing. And in order for us to experience kind of what nothing feels like, because it sort of is like the Henry Rollins used to do this whole bit around the what is the smell of no scent? Like if you go to a Cabela's or something, there's this idea of like no scent, and you like rub it all over yourself. Like, what is that? What is the smell of no scent? What does it mean to do nothing? And so there's a little bit of a paradox in that, which is super fun. I like paradoxes. And one way to look at what do nothing is to compare it to something. So what we normally do is about a 15-minute sit where we compare a technique, the something part, with doing nothing. Or in other words, more of a mode of nothing to do, nowhere to go, just sitting, sort of a sitting and knowing that you're sitting kind of perspective, which sounds like not possible or not beneficial, but so the experience of that I think is helpful, but comparing it with something is usually one way to really highlight it. And so on Thursdays, what we do is we switch the order that we experience those two techniques. And so I'll start out and I'll give you a little bit of a sort of setting of the context of being able to sit. And we'll move into do nothing, or this idea of nothing to do, nowhere to go, or be aware that you're sitting and just that. So I'm in that mode. And then about 5 or 6 minutes, we'll switch into a something practice at the end. And the something practice is more of this notion of an extended awareness. I think Sarah referred to it as kind of a satellite practice where we're aware of what is around us. And it sounds a little mystical at first. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of look at applying mindful awareness to the sense of the whole body all at once. And then once we're in a good spot with that, we'll look at whether we can extend that feeling sense sort of around us. So I'm in this like 4-walled room. Can I sense into the kind of area around us? So that's where we'll do that. And so mindful awareness, just a real quick thought, is something we can think of as what is brought together by the three skills of concentration, clarity, and equanimity. So unified mindfulness has this really, to me, awesome take of moving from kind of like you get it or you don't as a binary in the meditation world to these are skills, and there's a skills based perspective, and then we do techniques in order for us to train those skills, and in training those skills we familiarize the mind with different states. So concentration is the ability to put our attention where we want for as long as we want. We can also think of that as sort of concentration power, like how much I can cultivate and gather and point in a particular direction. That could be a wide aperture, sort of panoramic concentration, or it could be very narrow. The second skill is clarity. That's this idea of having sensory clarity or clarity about my sensory experience. And then finally is this other seemingly maybe out of place skill, which is equanimity. And it's this idea that we can be with the way we are right now, maybe in the same way that we would sit with a friend who's going through something tough, or who's going or being with them when things are going very high. The idea is that we can be in this sort of inner smoothness position with our own experience. So we can say that with equanimity, we're not pushing things away in our experience or holding on to and not letting go of things in our experience. So that's this what Jeff Warren refers to as an inner smoothness or an inner smoothness muscle. So again, we can push and pull on the world around us, highly encouraged, but we're trying to look at, can I be with my body and my sensory experience or my nervous system as it is right now? So that's a quick thumbnail. Questions, comments, you can always post those in chat. Afterwards, have a little bit of time for reports if you have any. 15 minutes on the clock. All right. You can kind of tell that I've got a little more ramped up energy than I normally do at the beginning. All right. So we'll meet. I'm going to do what I would encourage you. So meet myself where I'm at right now, so I can feel that I'm in kind of a higher energy. Got really excited about that. So I invite you to adopt a posture that helps you be both relaxed and alert. You can think of that as a posture that would be upright and dignified. We want to be sort of sitting tall but not straining. And as we begin, just kind of seeing where we're at this time, at this place, from a standpoint of, do we have any tension? And if so, can we coax or encourage it to relax? Each of us holds tension in different places. You'll know your places better than I will. So I begin by looking to see if there's any holding or tension in my shoulders, around my jaw, maybe the eyes or the forehead. And sometimes, but not always, in noticing, the tension will melt away. And if it doesn't, that's our first opportunity to bring a no big deal attitude to our sit. And before we shift into our just sitting portion, doing a few conscious, deliberate breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Again, leaning on the wisdom of the three sages of the five boroughs, the Beastie Boys. Slow and low is our tempo as we do this. Breathing in slow empowers us to breathe low into the bottom of the lungs. Breathing into the bottom of the lungs and also therefore into the belly helps cue the nervous system to bring on the rest and relaxation system. And letting go of controlling the breath and breathing normally. And we begin with just sitting. In just sitting, we allow our attention to basically get up to whatever it wants to. So letting whatever happens happen. And if we happen to notice that we're controlling our attention, we let that go, drop it. Just like you might tell a pet, your dog. And if we've tried to drop an intention like that more than once, we can think of it as just being part of the whatever that's happening. And if it's helpful, we can sort of think about this technique as nothing to do and therefore nowhere to go, or maybe no way to be. So explore, do nothing. I'll check in soon. If you're just beginning your meditation practice, this approach is potentially so radical that you might be like, what the heck? So, one way of approaching it is kind of bringing forth this notion of you're sitting and you are aware that you are sitting. And in some ways, there's an awareness of that. You don't have to do anything. The nervous system has you covered. We got you. And so you sit, and maybe the mind ranges into different areas. But underlying the ranging and roving and traversing, there's still an awareness that you're right here. You're sitting, and you know you're sitting. You don't have to scrunch your face or do any funny hand signals. Just a bit more time in this just sitting frame. Good. So now we're going to shift into our technique for today. So I invite you to start by seeing if you can hold the edge of your whole body in awareness. You can think of using the panoramic or lantern quality of our awareness. You're coating the physical body at the edge of the skin, or simply you're aware of the body all at once. This may be difficult at first, or there may be blank spots or kind of a discontinuity. And that's okay. Let's see if you can bring a sort of soft fascination to what do the edges of the body feel like. And in that kind of soft fascination, there's an attraction to the edge, but we're not so on top of it that we're sort of bearing down. You'll you'll know it when you get it, maybe, which is not satisfying. So as you establish that this panoramic awareness of the body, holding the whole body in awareness at once, you may sense the space of the room around you. There's only the ground. So explore that. And if available, see if you can stick with that whole body all at once. So if you've been able to connect to the space around you, see if you can push your awareness just a little further out. And if you haven't, then see if you can flip your attention more inward. So whichever is available for you, see if you can explore that a bit. And if you lose connection, see if you can try to generate that soft fascination with the edge of the skin again. Good. So I'm going to signal the end of our practice together. And I invite you, if your eyes have been closed, to open them and connect to your surroundings at your own pace. And taking your time and offering some care. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for spending 20 plus minutes with me. Thank you for getting here to do the practice. That's ultimately the most important part. Is you can think of it, just show up. Roshi Joan Halifax has often joked that they have a beautiful Zendo at Upaya in Santa Fe that she wants to put on the front of the Zendo, just show up. Although there's very beautiful calligraphy on the front door of the circle of the way, but I always think about that. So it's just kind of showing up. That's a prerequisite, maybe, is one way to put it. Maybe it sounds a little tight in putting it that way. Very welcome, Jeff McPhee. And then also, Sarah, thank you for the suggestion for the practice today. If you have reports, I always love to hear those. You have questions, do my best to offer a response. I'm not bold enough right now to say that I will answer everything fully. And then because I started late, we're at the bottom of the hour. So I understand a lot of folks usually have to dip out at 1:30. So have a great Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, so we'll do a friendliness practice, or in more traditional old school Buddhism, that would be referred to as metta, or loving kindness. So we'll do that as our practice. And then the order will be back to the same. We'll start with the loving kindness or practice as our do something, and then we'll end with do nothing. So yeah. And I think that's it. Awesome. So that's awesome, Sarah. The Pinkerton album. So I used to be a photojournalism student when I was at community college, and I listened to the Pinkerton album on like repeat while I would do all of my darkroom stuff. And so I very much like that album. So there's a Zen priest who's was in a punk rock band, and he's an interesting character. Some may know him. His name is Brad Warner. He wrote Hardcore Zen, But in his book Zen Wrapped in Karma Dipped in Chocolate, he talks about how he was on long Zen style retreat. They're called sesshin, and he had Led Zeppelin's Kashmir play in his head from like start to finish, and then repeat during zazen. And zazen is just what that's a Japanese word. Za means sit, and then zen is absorption or meditation. So but yeah, so when you mentioned that, Sarah, I think of Brad Warner's that piece of him talking about music will often come up for people, especially in zazen, which is just sitting, is a translation, or one way of looking at it is it's just the sort of adopting the posture and sort of sitting in a different way. So I do not do sound meditations, Jeff. I know that you can consider, so one way of looking at the and Shinzen's ultra practice is you can use sounds as a focus, right? So we can use any of the sense gates, maybe is one way to put it, or any of our senses as an object of a meditation. The only sound meditation I do, I guess, to that point is there's a practice in the Unified Mindfulness System called Feel Good, and you listen to the music for a period of time, and then you shift your attention back to the body, and you look for the good emotions that are generated by the music, and then after that'll peak, and then it'll subside, right? It'll have an arising and a passing, like any sensory experience. And so then after that passes, you go back to focusing on the music, and then you kind of do this alternation back and forth. I attempt to explain that in a video that you can find at leonards.us. So if you go there, I have a Feel Good recorded a video, and then I have some audios of Feel Good. So yeah, so you could pick anybody's music. So for me, I have it's like a Fugazi, Tool, and like a band from the 80s called the Minutemen. And I would have kind of like a set playlist of music, and then I played with that. So it's a piece. But what I'm imagining that you're talking about is more in the singing bowl or sound vibration kind of healing modality side, and I don't have any experience with that necessarily. So yeah, thank you for that, Sarah. So I understand that there are stuff out there in the YouTube world of like singing bowls, and then there's kind of a whole space for that. And then just as a quick passing, I think it's Dr. Faith G. Harper had mentions in one of her books, I think it may be one of her coping skills book, that the act of doing a singing bowl and then making that sound can become itself a movement meditation, because in order for you to get the bowl to sing, you have to be consistent with your movements. And in order to do that, you have to be very, very aware of your actions and movements in a deliberate way. So yeah, so that is, so that's something to consider, right? So like when I first saw or heard singing bowls, I thought more of the sound quality of it, but it sounds like they're, at least from an intervention perspective, again, I'm not a licensed mental health professional, but Dr. Faith is, she's talking about the dual quality of the movement with the sound. And so doing that yourself is something of interest as well. So, oh yeah, I may not be aware of the guided vibrations and other things. So yeah, I'll have to, I may, well, really quick, if people have to take off, I totally understand. I may have my Feel Good, playlist on Spotify. Let me see really quick. So again, I don't get any compensation from Spotify. I'm a customer. I'm not necessarily promoting them, but that in a link, there's a link in chat that has the specific songs, and then Yeah, so the songs were Corona by the Minutemen, which a lot of people will know is the theme from Jackass. And then KYEO, which I think is the call signs for a radio station in DC, um, is the Fugazi song. And then I forgot this. So Isle of the Cheetah from a really great band from the Midwest called Hum. They were around in the 90s. So yeah, and totally understand, Sarah. Have a great time. Hopefully see you tomorrow or next week. But yeah. So anyway, that's info out there. Again, Spotify is a nice service. I don't have any affiliation or sponsorship or anything, but yeah. So you can see those. So you can see what music is on that list, and then that's a playlist that I've played with or I've used as a meditation for the meditations I linked at leonards.us. So there you go. So stuff. I'm always a person. You always get links and stuff from me. So hopefully that's enriching and not annoying. So have a good day.